everyone, I am Tessa from Love Notions, where we bring you not only incredible sewing patterns, but also all of the tips and resources that you need to make your sewing projects a complete success. In today's video, I'm going to reveal some must-know secrets about sewing with linen. It is one of the most versatile and timeless fabrics out there, and I can't wait to give all of my secrets away for sewing with linen. But no matter where you're coming from, I highly encourage you to stick around for the rest of the video, because by the end, I'm going to show you some of the best types of linen to use for your sewing projects. I'm going to give you some pro tips for sewing with linen, and I'm going to give you some of our favorite patterns that pair perfectly with this beautiful fabric, including the one that I'm wearing right now, which is the Melody Dolman, and that's on sale for today's $5 feature. So I'm going to share exactly where you can source top quality linen in this video, some of my go-to indie fabric shops, and lots more that's going to be valuable for you. So let's go get started. So first of all, what is linen exactly? Linen is a natural fiber that's made from a plant called flax. It undergoes this whole complex process to get it from a plant to a fiber to eventually a fabric that we can sew with. Flax is actually one of the oldest grown plants in human history. They were using it thousands and thousands of years ago. So the process of turning flax into linen is really labor intensive, and that explains why linen is just a little bit more costly than many of the other woven fabrics that we're used to. I did just a little bit of research to understand why it's so labor intensive, and basically it goes through this process of being harvested, then there's something called retting, and then something called like scutching, and then those fibers will be finally spun into a yarn and then woven into fabric, and so it's just got a lot going on in the processing of it. But let's just talk about why even fool around with all of this fabric with such labor-intensive steps. Why is linen worth all of this fuss? And that's because it's a fabric that is incredibly strong. I think studies show that it's like 30% stronger than any cotton, but yet it's lightweight and breathable. So it really makes linen a really great choice for summer garments, because it's going to keep you cool and comfortable. And of course, it's a favorite during our warmer time of year. Right now in the Chicagoland area, it is the middle of summer and it's pretty hot. And every morning when I wake up, I'm like, I want something that's breathable. I want something that's cool and airy. And that's linen right now. Another characteristic to note for linen is that most linen gets softer with every wash. So often you're gonna get, with linen, a nice really crisp piece to sew with, from the fabric shop. That makes the sewing process really easy. But then that linen is going to continue to evolve into something wash after wash, wear after wear. So unlike many other fabrics that really break down with time, linen holds up beautifully in the wash because it's really strong. And it is going to just get better with time. It's almost like it has a patina or something. It's very different than your typical cheap fabrics that pill, and it almost seems like they decompose right in front of your eyes, but that's not linen. So let's do a real quick pros and cons list for linen. What are the pros? It's lightweight, it's durable, it's breathable, it's great in warm weather, it's easy to sew. Linen is strong, absorbent, it's perfect for lightweight, breathable clothing. And another benefit is that it's kind of eco-friendly and hypoallergenic, and it makes it a great choice for anybody who has sensitive skin. But there are definitely some cons for this fabric. There's not a ton, but here's a few things to consider when you're sewing with linen. One, sometimes it's confusing to shop for linen. There's been a few times where I've ordered and I just didn't fully understand the listing, and I got something that was completely different than I thought it might be, and maybe something that might have been better for home deck sewing than for actually garment sewing. So always make sure that you get into as much information as you can before you purchase from a listing. I find it's really helpful to see an example of that garment sewn in that particular fabric, because there's just so many types of linen. So you want to be able to really appreciate the drape of the linen and the weight of it before you buy it. Fraying is another thing that happens with linen. It's another consideration that you have to make. This is a fabric that's like most other wovens, where you have to treat the raw edges somehow. They have to be finished well. One option is French seams for linen, and serging, of course, works, but you need to make sure that all of the potentially weak spots of the garment are really like well encased. All those seams are finished off because fraying can be a big issue. Also, linen wrinkles pretty easily. But actually, many people say that that's part of the charm of linen. So your mileage may vary. And finally, cost is definitely another consideration for linen. Depending on the type of linen that you have or the linen blend that you have, it can cost anywhere from $9.99 a yard to over $60 a yard. And it all depends on what it's been blended with, what the process was for procuring it, the sustainability issues, and like tons of other factors. But to me, in many of these cases, this is a fabric that does warrant a higher price. And it's just because it's something that can literally be worn for decades. I typically go for a linen blend rather than a pure linen, and I save some money that way. And you know, with that cost savings, that's great, but the more like fancy pure linens are going to be a little bit more pricey. And again, the way that I see it is that linen is not supposed to be necessarily part of like a fast fashion piece, like the super trendy stuff that comes and goes. This is a durable fabric, it's timeless, and obviously that gives you a higher price tag for it. So I would take care to select patterns to wear with your linen that are classic and timeless too, and that they'll stay in style. So I've got some suggestions coming for you in just a second of very timeless, linen-friendly patterns. So now let's talk about the types of linen, the composition of linen, and a little bit about linen blends. Let's talk about some of the types of linen that you might actually see in a fabric listing online and kind of decode those a little bit for you. First off, when we spoke earlier about washing linen, and when you go fabric shopping online or in the stores, you might see that linen is advertised as washed or like soft washed, different from regular linen. And what does that exactly mean compared to the regular linen? So if you order just like a regular basic linen, it's going to have a really crisp texture. It's probably going to be untreated. It's got a natural texture. It's more stiff. It's going to wrinkle really easily. It's going to be very durable, and some even might call it like a little more rustic. It's going to hold on to its shape really well, and it looks good with garments that are like a little bit more structured. And most of the time, that linen is just going to soften with every wash and wear, and it'll be great. However, you might also, as you're shopping, see an option for washed linen. This is linen that has been pre-softened, and it offers just an overall more relaxed feel and drape right from the start, right as you start to sew. It's that washed linen has undergone an additional step where in the pre-wash it's washed with like enzymes or like even stones to soften it before it's been sold and sent to you. And this pre-washing process softens the fabric. It reduces shrinkage, which is great, and then it just kind of like relaxes those natural fibers. And I tend to prefer to work with washed linen. I like the drape, I like the softer feel, and I like the way that it works for, like, obviously it works for more drapey garments, and I tend to wear more drapey garments in the warmer months, so that's why I tend to gravitate towards soft washed linen or washed linen. Another option that you might see when you're shopping is for linen blends. So while there's pure linen, and that's made just from the flax fibers, and it's known for all that strength and that durability that we talked before about, but linen blends, for example, like a linen cotton blend or a linen rayon blend, you're going to get the best of both worlds in those situations. For instance, I've sewn with a Brussels washer linen, and it's a really popular blend of linen and rayon, and it gives a softer, more drapey feel. It makes it easier to sew with right from the start, and it's perfect for lots of different kinds of garments, and it's usually way less expensive. So really consider blends as being an option as you're searching for linen. They're less expensive, they're less prone to wrinkling actually, but they're still going to give you a lot of like the really lovely breathability and the texture that we all love linen for. So blends, just another thing to keep in mind when you are on your linen hunt and searching through those listings. In just a minute, we'll discuss 4 types of linen that I personally really like, where I bought them, what I sewed them into. But first, let's cover actually sewing with linen. So here's some linen sewing tips. Number 1, always pre-wash your fabric. Linen tends to shrink, so washing it and drying it before you cut your pattern is a must, and I would definitely press it, iron it, before you cut out your patterns. Definitely do that pre-wash. Even if the fabric listing says that it was already soft washed, wash it, press it before you cut. Next, when you're sewing with linen, make sure that you use a sharp needle, like an 80-12 or a 90-14. And you might even consider using a walking foot for stitching, because linen and linen blends can can sometimes be slippery, but not too bad. So make sure you pin your fabric well into place and just kind of keep everything together nicely. Another tip that we discussed in a little bit already, but linen does fray. So you want to treat your seams with care. Watch those seam allowances carefully, keep an eye out for any of potentially like fraying spots, finish all of your raw edges. You could use French seams. And even for buttonholes, I always put a dab of like fray check solution on my buttonholes to prevent any issues down the line, because that fraying can really cause some headaches. And lastly, I'll confess that most knit garments and even some woven garments, when it comes to sewing those up, I don't always press every seam, except for linen. With linen, I always press every seam. Linen responds beautifully to pressing, and that can really make the process satisfying, but more importantly, it helps to keep your work looking crisp and neat, which is just one of the qualities about linen that I love. So always press after your seams. Now, we're almost done understanding linen and how to work with it. Let's talk about some specific linen fabrics that I recommend and the patterns that I have paired with them. So first up, we have the Melody Dolman, which is actually on sale right now for just $5. Usually it's $12.50, but it's on special right now just for today. This pattern is ideal for linen because it's a relaxed fit, it's stylish, it's comfortable, it's classic, and it's perfect for warm weather. I sewed up my original Melody Dolman in a gorgeous pure white linen from Blackbird Fabrics. It started as such a crisp piece. I was almost kind of like shocked by how crisp it came, but it was easy to sew, and in every wash it's evolved into this great piece. It's a Melody plus linen is a great combo for a sewing newbie or even a linen newbie, and it's just such a great combo. So don't forget that Melody Dolman is on sale for that weekly Feature Friday, and we actually do a Feature Friday every week if you're new to Love Notions. So if you're watching this on August 16th in 2024, make sure that you head over to lovenotions.com to get your copy ASAP. This is the Melody Dolman. It's actually not sewn in linen, but this is the one I had handy. However, if you're watching this video at another date, just be sure to mark your calendar, because every single Friday, the Love Notions pattern collection, we feature one pattern for $5. And just go ahead and subscribe and follow, and that way you'll never miss another sale. Next, I have another fabric that I have bought multiple times. It's called the Slub Texture Linen Blend from StyleMaker. I just made the most classic pair of elastic waist airy trousers from the Allegro Bottoms pattern, and it's such a great companion for linen. And this particular blend, it's a rayon linen blend, and it just washes up so beautifully, and it just feels amazing for summer. In fact, it's so amazing that I have made both the shorts Allegros in it and the capris Allegros in it multiple times, and it comes in like 24 colors, like so many colors, and it is really great. So I highly recommend that. It has a little bit of a texture to it, so just take note of that texture on the listing. Next, if you're looking for a garment that works with maybe like a little bit more of a rustic style of linen, I suggest trying this style of linen from Raspberry Creek Fabrics. I believe it was the Brussels washer linen, which is also a rayon blend. And the price is so good for it, especially for any kind of linen. It comes in a half-yard pricing, I believe. It's like $6, I think. And I made this Brussels washer linen in the Aria button down, another classic, totally simple, perfect, timeless pattern. I made the dress version with short sleeves and the cuffs, and then I added a waist tie, and it's such a crisp, fun sew, and the linen was just absolutely perfect for it. Didn't get all stretched out, and it was just great to sew something like that structured with that type of Brussels linen while I'm sewing, and it didn't lose its shape. It's great. And then lastly, I just have to show you this linen pattern mash that I made, and I have worn it tons this summer. And it's actually a mash of Lyric dress and Encore skirt. Both of these patterns are ideal for linen, crisp, light, airy, but still structured. And I got this gorgeous wash linen from Frankie Rose Fabrics. I think this color was grape, and I just can say that this fabric has washed beautifully, and it's definitely one of those classic pieces that's gonna stand the test of time, and the fabric won't be letting me down anytime soon. Okay, are you looking for maybe a few other places to shop for some linen fabric? Here's a few where we've recently purchased from and can only say good things about them. Cotoneer is a great place to shop for any kind of fabric. They veer more into quilting fabrics, so watch the listings closely and notice that they come in quarter-yard increments, but we just love their entire collection. It's beautiful. Nature's Fabrics also has a lot of really great organic and sustainably sourced linen pieces. They even have a linen blend jersey fabric, so like a knit fabric. It's gorgeous. Serge Fabric Shop is always a go-to for us. They have some basics, but what I really also like is that they have a linen blend dead stock collection. It's just like tons of designed options for linen, which is, you know, usually you see linen in a typical like just solid color or a slub, and this is tons of designed fabric and linen. And then Alyssa May Design has linen in a cotton linen rayon blend. They've got various pieces, but their prices are unbeatable. Like I'm talking $3 for a half yard of fabric, which is really, really, really good for linen. There you have it. Linen, in my opinion, is a fantastic fabric choice for all kinds of garments, especially the Melody Dolman. And with these tips and these patterns, I think you're gonna be on your way to creating something really beautiful. So don't forget to grab Melody Dolman today. Set your calendars to always check our $5 feature sale. And if you enjoyed this video, could you please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe. We've got even more sewing tips and tutorials coming your way. Plus, check out Love Notions for all of the patterns and classes and sewing resources that are going to just totally elevate your sewing journey. Have a great day.